So guys, as I mentioned before in my older video, I had about 3 or 4 different ways that I came up with how we can make this battery pack easily removable on the go. But I have decided, I've tried the other ones and they do work, but I think the one I'm about to discuss, I'm going to make videos only about this one, is the best one so far. So the tools and materials you will need. I'd like to mention that, guys, if you are not comfortable with any of the tools or anything like this, I would not recommend to follow this video, meaning not to actually make the bits yourself. Only do what you're comfortable with doing. If you're not and you have some sort of concerns or questions about using some sort of tool, or maybe safety aspect about using of a tool, please let me know. Just write a comment. I always answer my comments on my YouTube videos. Out of the tools, what you will need is obviously the 2.5mm Allen key that you will use to remove the original screws from the battery pack. You will also need something to cut the threaded bar with. You will not need the file, but instead of obviously making sure your cuts are fine, I will be using grinder, but you can use an old-fashioned file, which is fine as well. So safer and cheaper option, a handsaw and a file. A bit more advanced option is a grinder and a... If you could have a hammer that has a rounded off edge like this, yeah, not the one that has like teeth on it, not the big claw hammer, but maybe something smaller, cheaper, you know, that's all really. Or you can use any other object that could do what needs to be done, which is possible as well. So sorry, I forgot about the hammer. So that's that. And you will definitely need some masking tape. So it could be an electrical tape, it could be masking tape, anything that we could tape up some bits together and then mark on the tape and then cut through it. That makes the job neater. So guys, the parts list. As I said, I had 4 ideas, but for this particular idea, so obviously I bought a lot more parts, but for this particular idea you will need 10 thumb screws, 4mm size is 4mm, 10 is a quantity, so you will need 4mm 10 pieces of a thumb screws. I've picked this up on eBay. These are stainless steel, so these will not rust, which is very beneficial, especially after recent comments about the Flex e-board about the little screws rusting. So this will not rust. I picked this up for £7.29, delivered to my door, and I got this within a day. So you'll need 10 of these. You will also need polyurethane spacers. These are 30mm long by 4mm diameter, internal diameter. Quite a thick wall. Hopefully the camera will focus on it. So it's quite a thick wall, polyurethane spacers. These are actually made in Germany. I've got 10 of these for £8 delivered, and again I've got them within 2 days. The reason why polyurethane is because obviously the battery is plastic, and when we're going to be applying some pressure with this spacer, the plastic contacting plastic is better than obviously metal contacting plastic, because it will ruin the surface. And because we want to use this quite often, taking the bits off, on and off, you want the parts to match the material wise, so they don't actually hurt each other. Okay, so 10 of these, £8. And also you would need is a 4mm a fully threaded rod. Okay, I've picked this one up for £4 something, so let's say £5. Okay, so that's what I've got, and I've got all this from eBay. You don't have to buy it on eBay, obviously. I'm not, you know, promoting eBay, but that's where I got this from. And what you will need is to make 10 sleeves or spacers like this, and they need to be 16.9 millimeters long. Okay, these are plastic, very high quality plastic, so it's quite easy. Just pretty much mark it 16.9 millimeters, use your handsaw or use the grinder to cut them up, then use the file and make the edges nice and straight, sharp, clean. Make sure they are 90 degree and not slinted sideways, anything like that. Okay, so that's quite straightforward. Next, what you will need to do is cut up 10 bits of 4 millimeter threaded bar, and the length of this is 44 millimeters. So 4 millimeters in diameter and 44 millimeters in length. 10 of these need to be made. And take any measuring tool you've got, either a micrometer, which I do use, or a measuring tape. You measure off roughly 4.5 centimeters or 55 millimeters, and at that point what you do is you take a normal masking tape and you wrap the masking tape around roughly 4.5 centimeters, and you mark your 44 millimeters on that tape that you've put on the rod, and cut the rod to suit the size. Okay, you can do it this way, or you can hold it in a vise, which I do have, or hold it by your hand. It's up to you, depending on how many obviously bits you got in your garage, how well set up your garage is. I'm going to be using the grinder. If you guys do use any power tools, anything that spins, always use safety goggles. Please guys. You only got one life, you only got two eyes. You don't want to be losing any of them. So, goggles on, and we'll cut the bar. The tip of the threaded bar does have a bit of shavings now, because obviously you cannot get the perfect cut, doesn't matter what you use. So either using the file or using the grinder, what you do make sure is that you take all the shavings off and make sure that you have a perfectly clean thread, because this thread will be going into your flex e-board, and you don't want to have anything sticking out of it like the off-cut bits, because this will cross thread the bar and you will ruin the thread inside the board. Take the 4mm nut or 4mm thumb screw, like you will need to get these to carry on with my project, and try catching the thread, and the thread should catch and go on nice and smooth straight through. Unscrew the thread so that it does protrude the top of the thumb screw, just like that, but about 1 or 2 threads. So 1 or 2 threads, it needs to stick up, just like that. Your hand, and just hold it tightly and just tap the metal just like so, continuously. Or what I found to be very handy, you could use grips, or you can use pliers, anything that could take your hand away from the hammer further back. So in instance of the grips, hold on to the nut itself, to the thumb nut, not the thread, but to the thumb nut in this area here. So you hold on to it like just so, and now you can comfortably have it in your hand and tap on the protruding thread. The reason for this exercise is you want to flatten that protruding thread so that the thumb screw or thumb nut cannot come off when you're unscrewing it. Okay. Cut to 44 millimeters length with a 4 millimeter thumb screw with 2 or 3 threads protruding through, but now they are flattened. So when you wind the thread all the way in, it's almost invisible. But what it does, it stops this nut from coming off the thread, so it gets stuck, and you can actually unscrew this thread out of the board by hand. But if you need to tighten up the fixing, you'll understand later, guys, bear with me, the nut can always go down the thread. So you can tighten, but it cannot, after this point here, come off the thread. And you will need 10 16.9 millimeter long, 4 millimeter internal diameter plastic spacers, just like that. And this spacer will go onto a thread just like that. So what you see at the moment is the prototype I was talking about. This is a prototype of the fixing I came up with to solve the issue of having a non-removable battery on Flex e-board. And now, hopefully, after I do my testing, the battery can be easily removable even on the go. So guys, I've done all the preparation now, so let's just recoup quickly. You had the 4 millimeter stud cut to 44 millimeter length. You've taken the 4 millimeter thumb screw or thumb nut, you've put it on the thread. You made sure that both sides of the thread, or at least one, is really good, nice and clean, straight. You've tapped one of the sides of the stud, the one that is obviously next to the nut, flat, so that the nut cannot come off, but it could, if needed, tighten up. So it cannot come off, but it can tighten up. Okay, this was the whole purpose of flaring out the tip of the stud. Let me see if I can get this zoom on this. So the thread is a little bit flared, so you cannot actually take the nut off and the stud stays back. If you unscrew this, the whole thing comes off. Okay, so you got 10 of them, and you do have 10 16 to 17 millimeter long polyurethane spacers cut up just like that. The assembly is very simple. That spacer goes onto your stud and the thumb nut. So all of this could have been actually one solid piece of metal, but all these cut into it. It's possible. So 10 of them in a bag together with a brand new battery, secondary battery. Probably a great idea for Slick Revolution. Guys, why not to think about it? This will give you very little spending, but very good big plus to your battery flexi board, that you will have now a way of swapping the battery out very easily.